It's the holidays. People want to relax. Give us a little break.
Why are you in my dream?
Don't tell them anything. Which one is the smart one?
You want this over? Then say it!
We're gonna need some gasoline.
Hey guys, it's What the Flick. Ben, John, Alonso, The Leftovers, episode 4? Episode 4, BJ and the AC. We figured that BJ is baby Jesus.
Or
and the AC, we've just heard a suggestion here from Bart that it's in the Antichrist. That doesn't quite make sense.
well, unless that's supposed to be a reference to the two children in the episode, with the baby Jesus being the one they're trying to track down, and the AC being the one that's being checked on in the hospital.
Oh, well.
I didn't think of that until right after Bart said that, but it's a possibility.
Maybe, I guess, whatever. I'm too dumb to figure this out. The show opens, this episode opened with the manufacturing and packaging of these little babies.
Which is very wonderfully creepy.
Wonderfully creepy. And also, these people have to wear gloves and a mask.
Well, because it's all latex.
Right, and it's just a reminder, you're literally making dolls for children and you have to wear a mask while preparing it. Like, that's how toxic these are.
So the kids can then put them in their mouths.
Right, so the kids which they put everything in their mouth. So that was it was creepy throughout.
Although I have to say, during that sequence, my first thought was that it was those that it was one of the loved ones or whatever. The thing that we see later in the episode strewn across the highway. Because there was an ad for them in one of the earlier episodes, like basically providing people closure by, like, you send us a picture of your departed loved one, and we'll create anything from a baby to an adult. So at first, when I saw that whole assembly line, I thought, oh, but they're just regular baby
I thought this was what the Guilty Remnants were up to in the church. That they were going to do some sort of protest or symbolism with all of these babies.
Guilty Remnants, which clearly we thought to, because everybody's wearing white in the preparation of that. What were the Guilty Remnants up to?
Well, they were clearly distracting the cops so they could go do a creepy crawl.
They knew Kevin would
protect the dance.
Right, and so they assume there were a lot of things in this episode that rang very inauthentic to me.
Really?
Yes. So I'll start with that one. I get that. What's her name? Our friend?
Andowd.
That Andowd. she's
we don't really know her. We just love her.
She's a step ahead of Kevin, of Justin Theroux. So she knows that he's going to show force and arrest them all, and the cops are going to be distracted processing all this and the people are all going to be at the dance. So they get to break into every home, and no one's awake.
Well, but it couldn't be that many homes. They don't have enough members.
Maybe they might have strategically picked the homes of people they knew were at the dance, judging by the
Okay, I guess that's the only possible way they had to pick the homes.
And there was that one guy asleep on the sofa. He just didn't wake up.
Yeah, right, and there was the old woman or something, like, she had the thing on her face.
But I mean, they're breaking it. I mean, they could we all know they could be. We've covered the stories. They can all be shot.
Yeah,
no, that's true. Yeah.
Well, this is in Florida. But it's also,
especially in this day and the day and age of this show, where people are a little more.
What I liked about that sequence was when they show just the hand with, you couldn't tell if it was a screwdriver or a knife. You just saw like a blade, and you think, oh, they're going to go in and they're going to kill
Killing
people.
Spree, yeah.
But yeah, the idea that nobody gets caught, and that these people that we've seen, we have no evidence to know that they know anything about breaking into homes without leaving behind evidence or making too much noise.
Well, again,
no one's caught. That seems a bit odd.
This is Mapleton, it's a small town.
Some doors open still.
It's just like on Fargo, where he sets up the tanning guy with the gun, and the entire police force shows up and surrounds it, and then he can go do something else.
Right, but he knew in that case. But to me, he fired shots from that home. Like, he fired shots, meaning in that town, shots were fired from a house, and then rigged it so when the police approached, more shots were fired.
So what I'm saying is that if you're dealing with one of these fictional TV small towns, you can reasonably assume that if you can get the entire police force to show but point A, then you can sort of run roughshod.
Yeah, it was mostly, I got the distracting the police force. It was the lack of the no one got caught, everyone did it well, and it seemed to lack tension to me. And
they know how to be quiet.
They do know how to be quiet. But a couple of, well, by the way, you mentioned Fargo. John, give the news.
Well, Fargo has actually been renewed for season 2, which is good news. There's sort of bad news, or at least neutral news, that it is going to be an entirely new cast, new location, new time
Which is what they said ahead of time. If it comes back, it will be different.
So
I'd like to see. I'd like to see a little
Allison
Tolman.
However, season 2 of Fargo is going to follow the further adventures of the two characters from True Detective season 1. So there's that.
It's going to just switch back and forth.
So here's what else I didn't like, because it's stuff that bothered me. as the, I mean, yeah, and in a sense, yes, in a town where the #1 crime is the thief of the baby Jesus from the crash, maybe. Okay.
How great is the mayor telling him that he's going to go get the fucking
But also,
baby Jesus?
like then he has to do it. Like,
Yes.
like that would be delegated.
You need a win.
Right. You need a win. But like then he comes and arrests or hassles the twins. Right. His car breaks down when he says, "God, the goddamn baby Jesus." His car shuts down literally at that moment.
That was a cool moment.
So then he gets the pickup truck that was given to him by the strange dog killer, and he chases down the twins, and he stops them and says, "Look, my daughter did it. I think they did it. Did she do it? What do you know?" And then we're in a scene with the twins and the daughter, and that scene where they were gonna blow up turn the baby into a funeral pyre, right? The Game of Thrones thing. Where I said to my wife as I'm watching, I'm like, no one ever misses in this. Like there was a couple maybe misses in something
Tammy.
we've seen, right?
Misses in what?
Where they have
Where
to
they
shoot
fire
it.
the
Oh, in
arrow,
Game of
yeah.
Thrones, that was a comedy thing they did where he
Right.
missed several times.
Right, but it was like, but he also
would never
he
have
missed
hit it.
Because they do it in Tammy too.
Yeah,
this is a
you
thing
can't
now.
500
beer.
yards. Yeah.
She poured a beer. and
No,
she's
that
in a-
was it was gasoline. I think,
really?
That was
They
in a
got
beer
gas, it was
can.
gas. So anyway, but
It wasn't gonna hit.
like they've already been there a while that night, and then we get a scene where I will get blamed for nitpicking, but I really don't think this is. Then we get one of those artificial conversations where the twins say, "Hey, your dad thinks you did this," and she said, "Did he say I did it or whatever?" And she goes, "No, but he knows." And they've already been there. Like that would be the first thing any of those people would talk about.
Right.
Your dad pulled us over and said that he knows you did it. Like they don't text that, nothing, and they've been there an hour and a half.
Oh, by the way.
funny thing happened. Your dad. So to me, it's this. Again, it's a very artificial moment.
Fair
and
enough.
then when Kevin is with his daughters, with Jill, and she's like, "What did Mom want?" And he says it's complicated. Like then I have a little Three's Company moment. Like she's a grown up. You seem a reasonably responsible parent in this regard. Say your mom wants a divorce. She moved out and she's joined a non-talking cult. And I'm frustrated by it. I'm sorry you had to see this. Like the truth saves so many problems in that situation.
I think what the recurring thing I got out of this episode was the sort of embrace and rejection of the different paths these people have chosen, where you've got him throwing the Jesus literally out the window.
Yeah.
You've got the mother throwing away the lighter but then getting it back later.
Trying to get it back.
Trying to get it back later. You've got the son close to walking away from the whole thing and then getting that random phone call and taking that as an omen or something sent by Huggy Bear, whether or not it actually was, I know it's Holy Wayne, but I like calling him Huggy Bear.
That's
better.
good.
And so, there seemed to be this sort of kind of, do we continue on this path that we've chosen, or are we having second thoughts about it? I thought that was sort of the.
Well, and also
Yeah, I think
the
that's a good
importance
analysis.
of symbols, that she throws away the thing because she doesn't want possessions anymore,
Right.
but then feels the need to come back.
Yeah.
That Jill, who's like sort of spiraling out of control, she will steal the baby and then have a party where they put their balls on the baby, but she won't set it on fire. Like they're
Right.
willing to go so far, but only so far.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to tell us something about their characters, but we have so little other information to go on that it seems kind of pointless.
I like
to
the
me,
idea that Jill's at least trying to meet her mother halfway by making the gift be a cigarette lighter.
I know,
Like,
that's
okay,
true.
I understand you've chosen this path, but like
That was a very sweet scene. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was a really emotional scene. I thought anyway. When she's looking for the lighter, and when Amy Brennan, Laurie, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is looking for the lighter, and Justin Theroux, Kevin is driving. Like I had a moment where I thought, I hope he runs over.
I totally was thinking that too.
Oh,
I totally did too. And she would see it coming and she couldn't scream from shock.
Nancy Walker and Murder by Death.
Right.
There were a couple of things we learned this episode. Tommy is not Kevin's son.
Right. First husband.
He did in fact cheat on Lori, and so I guess that means he was cheating on her when the event happened.
Right. Yeah.
That was that flash.
When we don't know with whom.
Yeah, we don't know yet. And also lady with the wife and children
I'm gonna
missing.
guess he's cheated on someone who vanished. That's just a thought.
That was my thing. I kept wondering, like, did that happen to him mid-coitus? Because that puts him in the position of the dogs, you know,
Right.
having witnessed the thing. And then also, the lady with the missing wife and kids, or husband and kids, like, we get a little more of her and find out that her husband cheated on her.
And they once again showed the House of Cards guy. He is definitely going to. He either has to come back, flashback, something. There's no reason you would use that guy. If it wasn't going to be significant, you just have the brother of the director.
Because that was see, that's how we know they picked people who were at the dance, because she was at the dance and they go and take her photo of her family off the refrigerator,
Yeah, but
they leave the drawing.
That's a romance that you want to happen, like these two incredibly lonely,
broken,
mostly decent people, like. Whatever she's up to, I no longer think she slaughtered her family and blamed it on the vanishing.
Or is doing some weird scientific investigation thing.
She's looking. She's interested in. She's trying, but they're broken and they're hurting, and they're cute. Like, let's go.
But for him to sleep with her would be a way of basically his character admitting that Laurie's never coming back.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm ready to embrace that. I love to have him do it.
To that point, I loved him yelling at her. I mean, Jill screwed that moment up by coming home, but screaming at her, say it, say it, say it. Because then I was thinking, fucking say it. Say it. Fuck you. You left your fucking family at the moment they needed you most. Like how.
But then that's a no-win, because then if she does say it, then she's betraying the thing that she left them for.
I got it. She's in a bind. But that said,
she might have if Jill hadn't come back.
Right. We don't know.
True.
It looked like she might say it, but even if she left them because she believes in this thing, you can't do that. You have children.
Well,
you can't do it.
And obviously, she I think we're seeing some second thoughts from her in that she's lurking around their house at night. And asks,
she's definitely
Christopher Eccleston not to tell them. So
Yeah, and she goes and gets the and get the lighter back. No, I get it. We're not supposed to dislike her.
Yeah.
Now, important note.
I still wanted her to get run over for a brief moment.
That would have been funny.
Where were Tom and Asian Madonna?
I don't think we're supposed to know.
We heard San Francisco.
Well, no, they said Amarillo, Texas, but I mean, like, where were they? Where they're in was a hostel, like where the German guy?
I think
comes out
that
with
was
no
some
pants
sort
on?
of hostel.
Yeah,
or possibly like a bus station, maybe.
A lot
like
of
that.
penis.
It seemed really. I was going to say I've never seen penis on HBO before.
A lot of penis.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So it wasn't
very
much.
Borat-ish.
Yeah.
The wrestling
But
and everything.
good for that guy. Like, he did a fight. He went into a fight with his penis.
That's bold.
My father, who's like the greatest guy in the world, and I love to death.
I can't wait to hear where this story is going.
My father would sleep in a pajama top and no bottoms. It for some reason is always hilarious. And so when he'd come up and he'd like be late at night, he'd find him. He used to he couldn't sleep. He'd do old school. He'd make warm milk, which I now do, right? And I'd come down and I'd see him. I'd be, Dad, could you just I think you're supposed to wear the bottoms and not the tops. Like that's how guys go.
That's usually the men and women meet cute in the department store where she wants the top and he wants the bottom.
Right. But anyway, so that guy with the t-shirt and no pants reminded me of my father.
That was a moment for you.
Yeah, it was a weird moment. I didn't like how then, I guess she's had a dream. Christina, I think is her name.
Right.
So they almost have that bus accident, or the bus stops short while she's inexplicably, I guess, flirting with the soldier, also named Tom.
Yet another guy.
Right, we get another guy.
Yeah, after she was told, don't talk to people.
And then they all come out and all these dead bodies who are being sent where?
Well, not
they weren't dead bodies. They were loved ones. They were the replica.
So that's why. Okay. Then this point. I missed that somehow. And
that's
I missed it at first.
That's why when he flips it over, there's like a label on it explaining the.
I'm an idiot. Yeah. Sometimes I just miss obvious things, but I couldn't understand why are their heads all exposed. But that's why they were literally set up. You're supposed to have their heads.
Yeah.
Got it. No problem.
Strike me as a bit, I mean, I guess some people, even 2 years afterward, possibly haven't gotten over it, and so now they want 3 years after. Maybe now they want to bury them, but it does seem like pretty late in the game to be ordering these bodies.
Again, remember this. A minor thing in the first episode, but it was that report that came out that basically where they officially had no explanation.
So you're saying people might have been waiting.
I think people were waiting. People wanted to see was some sort of mass alien abduction.
Are they coming? And are they coming back?
That's
you
true.
wait.
Before you know.
Yeah, and so I think now that's why the show is starting where it is. Like this, we reached that period where we know it's not. They're not coming back. There's no explanation for this. What meaning do our lives have?
Yeah. And this company may have just figured this out. Like that. You know what we can do. like this is a great business
Right.
model.
That's true.
We can make millions off this.
No, one of the important things about us noting that they were in Amarillo or wherever they were, that they were far away, is that you do see Guilty Remnants there, waiting at the same bus station.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it is
Love
not
their-
just
love-
a local thing.
Right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Love their pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's important, and we also see the introduction of yet another cult, the targeted,
Right. So
verified
as we were
hippies.
speculating on early, there are cults
All over,
everywhere.
Yeah.
But
And you
he's
can-
not. But and I thought he was fairly sophisticated. Like no one will pay attention to us. No shoes. Put this on. We'll do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see that the guilty remnants that you see there, one of them has a bandage on their head. So you see it's consistently they're not liked, and yet these hippies seem like people just sort of like, where did your life go
I
wrong?
missed some shit, man.
It's
I
less-
need to watch
Well,
it with you guys. Like I already like it better. Yeah.
But what I got coming out of it is I thought that the Christina stuff and the Tom stuff was fine, but now I'm starting to think that the significance of the girl is just that she has the cult leader's baby in her. It's not, unless the AC thing really does stand for the Antichrist, and that's what we're supposed to believe. Other than the car shutting down, I wanted more supernatural, and I feel like we've taken a step or two back from that. There was just the car.
Well, and the penis dream guy, you know. So clearly
yeah, I guess,
she's.
yes,
you know,
that's true. That's true. I don't know. I'm just.
And her
like,
dream.
right.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what. Yeah.
Well, both.
I'm just
Well, both.
worried
He
that
had a dream about
also,
her,
and
and
that's
she
why he-
had a
Oh, I
dream.
thought she discussed the dream with him. But in any event, I didn't watch Lost, so, and I don't know how similar it's going to be in terms of what percentage of the mysteries we're going to actually have some sort of either just massively expanded on or actually like revealed what's behind it. But I'm starting to worry, and I know it's only 40% of the season in, that we're not going to get answers, and that it is just going to be a drama set after this event. Like, I want the event to be more significant than that.
I'm frankly not interested in the mysteries. I'm more interested in the how do people react after this horrible thing has happened.
The exact
and
opposite
as a
of that.
sort of a 9/11 metaphor kind of thing. So I'm just down with how people find meaning in their lives. How do they continue going on? How do they mend their relationships? But but if they're going to keep throwing mysteries at us, then yes, maybe solve a few. I
Could
will
we
agree.
have a sunny frickin' day in Milford or wherever the hell it's like?
Well, it's winter, I guess.
Mapleton.
I know,
Spring
but-
will come.
Well, we need
right.
We need, but winter has come, and we need to like again.
I want to see what the summer uniform for the GR.
With
But also
Christina
it's-
in the bikini. That
but
was
it's
the closest
hard
we've
to
come.
it's hard to be mopey, like when it's sunny out. Like it's just the atmosphere is
Maybe the mayor will get everyone light boxes.
yeah.
I'm curious to see if now that they've Waco'd, Huggy Bears people, are they going to do the same to the Guilty Remnants and the Target people and whoever else, cult-wise? And then also, again, these keep flying out of my head when I think about them. But
I mean, the fact that they locked them up showed that they're willing to become more aggressive in terms of stopping the GRs.
Oh, no, I remember last week I was convinced that when Christopher Eccleston got hit in the head with a brick, that was a trick that the GR played, where that they basically injured one of their own so that he would stop and do something, and then they could injure him and get him out of the way to make the bank deal. But now I'm not so sure because there is this ongoing resentment by so many people against the GRs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if they were doing that, it might not be just to get the church. It might be that they are following him. He's one of the ones they're targeting as a possible broken person.
Sure, yeah.
As the wife implied in her letter, that she was already broken. It wasn't just the event. She already had problems.
Unless they were following him and saw that he won the money, unless they're much less pure and more conniving. But
But they didn't steal the money. All they did was
That's
keep
true.
No, they didn't go that far, but they want to make sure
He
they
just couldn't outbid
keep.
them.
They want the church.
that was my thought that was all an arranged thing. But then it's continued to go on. So
I hate the Guilty Remnants.
oh, they're the worst.
I
Yeah.
hate them. I hate every part of them.
Just say something. Just
Right.
and the smoking, it just annoys me. It's bad for you. Like,
I'm not a fan of organized religion in general, but I really don't like the
yeah.
Guilty Remnants.
I like the Target. We don't know much about the Target cult, but I have to imagine that they're having a little bit more fun with this whole thing.
They seem like there's more sex happening with the Target.
Yeah, that's what I was implying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably so.
All right, thanks everybody.